Hi, this is Karen from Soterion, and you're listening to the SAP Security and GRC podcast, helping you on your journey to effective access risk management in SAP. Our topic for today is navigating the SAP RISE migration. How can we streamline the role design and also make use of Fiori Spaces and Pages to help us with compliance resilience? Our host is Emile Steyn, and he'll be joined by Chordia and Jeroen Basten from BDO and Robertson from Soterion. Thank you for joining us.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's podcast. I'm the presenter Emile Steyn. I'm joined by Addy, Jeroen and Ross today. I'll start with Jeroen. Jeroen, if you can maybe just quickly introduce yourself and to tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. Hi everybody. I'm Jeroen Basten. I'm a partner here at BDO Digital, and I've got about 18 years of experience of helping my clients really strengthen their IT control environment and implementing digital solutions to really sort of automate and optimize their wider control landscape. Now, look, me and my team have a lot of deep expertise in SAP, which we, of course, bring to bear on engagements that go all the way across from helping design and redesign security to improving wider controls across SAP.
Thanks, Jeroen. Addy?
Thank you, Emile. So, Chordia, I'm a CISA, CSSP, and SAP certified professional with over 11 years of experience in the technology risk, digital transformation advisory, specializing in SAP ECC S4 control design and implementation. I've got experience in setting up and leading controls workstream as part of large-scale S4HANA implementations, RISE migrations to ensure that optimal benefits going to the business via automation, meticulous role design, precise implementation of the business aligned segregation of duties, underpinned by robust IT general controls. I also excel in providing leading recommendations for the GRC solutions, and I work closely with Jeroen to support our clients.
Thanks, Addy. And then Ross, my colleague, if you can also just introduce yourself quickly.
Sure. Thanks, Emile. Hi, everyone. Ross Robertson here. I am a SAP Senior Authorisations Consultant working with Emile at Soterion Technologies. I have coming up to 6 years of experience in the field, working with many clients on their authorization designs, continuous controls, and more recently, license remediation and cost-saving exercises within your SAP S4HANA environment. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. So the first question for today for our topic, I'm posing it to Jeroen. If you can maybe tell us a bit about what is SAP RISE and why should customers or SAP customers then at least consider that for their cloud migration?
Yeah, of course. Good question. Look, SAP RISE isn't really a single product, right? It's more like a comprehensive package that's really designed to help businesses, move their SAP systems to the cloud more easily. It's like a one-stop service to transform a business into a cloud-driven organization. And at its core, it obviously offers S4HANA, which is a really powerful ERP system that can help you streamline operations and innovate faster. But it also simplifies the licensing process, which links back to what Ross was mentioning earlier. Now, one of the key benefits is sort of the business transformation as a service model, meaning that everything from software to infrastructure and services are all bundled together in a single contract, which really simplifies the migration process. It makes it faster, more manageable, and you don't have to worry about linking in with all different vendors and service providers and separate contracts. It's sort of all handled centrally by SAP. Now, RISE with SAP is ideal for businesses looking to modernize their systems, looking to become compliant, whether you're moving from an old ECC system or if you're entirely new to SAP altogether, right? Plus, it includes technologies such as BTP, which is sort of a new technology by SAP that truly enables you to build and integrate applications more easily with advanced technologies like AI and achieving better automation. Now, partnering with a specialist on a RISE journey can really help make the whole migration process more efficient, particularly when handling large amounts of data, right? Because in essence, it's designed to set up your business for future growth. Now, we as a firm, we often partner with clients. So for example, we recently partnered with a major UK retailer to sort of help them as their transformation risk assurance partner during their RISE migration. And one of the key things that we really helped them with was, helping them understand as a client the responsibility split between, SAP, other vendors and advisors, so they know what they own and need to do to maintain compliance, as well as what others need to do. And that framework really helped them ensure that they stay compliant right from day one, post go live, and basically reduce their risks and gave them confidence in the system that they now use to make their key business decisions.
Now that Jeroen has explained the RISE topic to us, and we've got a better understanding of that, Adi, can I ask you to maybe just explain to everyone, what is S4HANA? It's been around for quite some time, but what for companies that's doing the migration, it's probably all new. So if you can maybe just explain to everyone, what is S4HANA and how is it different from like an ECC that they might be used to?
Yes. Thank you, Emile, for the question. So I think in simpler terms, S4HANA is a system that large organizations manage their business process more efficiently from. Think of it as a backbone that supports everything from finance, from procurement to inventory and sales. It's designed to handle complex operations, making it ideal for multinational and diverse companies, which has got multiple entities across the globe. What makes S4HANA different from the older versions is mainly two key things. First, it's built for the cloud, and that's when is the direction for travel for all the organizations, meaning it can be hosted online, scaled up and scaled down very efficiently, or installed on-prem as well. This flexibility allows companies to choose what works best for them. And second, it runs on the SAP's own powerful database, HANA, which has been around from quite a while, which is sort of in-memory database. But is S4HANA right for everybody who's thinking about SAP products? Not necessarily. It's crucial to carefully assess whether it aligns with your organization's business needs and goals before making any decisions. And remember, success isn't about the technology, but it's about how you align your business process with that technology and how to leverage it. So I think that's the key behind S4HANA. And finally, for the companies still using SAP ECC as their main ERP, it is important to note that SAP will be ending the support for ECC by 2027-ish. This means that the transition to S4HANA will be essential for a continued support from SAP. So organizations have a time-sensitive decision to make about upgrading to make them fully up-to-date and fully supported by SAP.
Yes, thanks, Adi. So now, for companies that's moving to S4 or S4HANA, whether that's on RISE or on-premise private cloud environment, why would, and keep in mind this is a security podcast, so why would organizations need to also then place emphasis on security and then more specifically on the role design when moving to S4HANA?
So, as you all know, in systems like S4HANA, user access is fundamentally governed by the roles. And hence, during any transformation of S4HANA implementation or the wider RISE migration, a careful attention is required for designing the overall access model and the actual roles, particularly business roles, to ensure they align with the organization needs and support effective operation. Without this, the user could end up with much more access than needed, and it's like opening the door for fraud or users deviating from the normal business process, causing operational issues or potential risks for financial frauds. To help understand these business roles a bit better, consider them like providing job descriptions to your SAP system or S4HANA systems. Just like each person in an organization has a job role, similarly, in the business roles, you define what the specific responsibilities that business role can grant to a specific person. For example, if it is a maintenance technician role in SAP, he would only have access to tools for scheduling repairs or ordering parts. A general ledger accountant at the same time would have only access to financial reports and tools for recording transactions. And therefore, this is the beauty of S4HANA, that what SAP provides is 600 pre-built business role templates. And that is a starting point for any organization, which is a very good starting point, that they can tailor them as per their specific needs. It's like you're getting a wardrobe of clothes that you can mix and match as per your taste. And similarly, with those predefined templates, you can mix and match what is required in terms of the business roles. But generally, what we see in most of our clients is organizations have unique business processes, or they evolve over time, and that gave rise to customization of these roles, which is known as customized role. Now, when it comes to the best practice for role designing, one thing which is consistent is whether you are using the predefined templates of the SAP business roles or you are creating a customized role. The key is to copy or utilize or leverage whatever SAP has provided and not build something from scratch, because this is very similar to renovating a house versus building a house from scratch. So the best practice is always use what is already provided and leverage on and build upon that. Second, I think the best practice in all of these role designing is having a clear understanding of who will be owning these roles. Ideally, this person who will be the role owner should have sort of three-phase understanding. He should understand the business, he should understand the compliance requirements, and he should also understand the system capabilities. This person will act as a guardian for all the set of roles he controls for the business function. The third piece in this the role arena is around sort of the principle of segregation of duties. I know we discussed principles of segregation of duties in detail in our last podcast, but for our new listeners, it simply means that no single individual should have too much access within the system. For instance, a person should not be having create and approve purchase order access with one individual. And lastly, it's crucial to regularly review access and what these roles are granting in the system in terms of access regularly to the end users. It's very similar to how we regularly clean up our houses to keep it tidy. Similarly, the SAP system requires this tidiness on a regular interval to make sure that the roles still align with the organization position and the direction of travel.
Like a couple of great points there, Adi. Maybe just to speak to some of the points you raised there. So, many organizations differ, and, using the business roles that SAP provides as a starting point might work for some, but it might also not work for others. And as you said there, it should be almost a fluid concept, because things change and organizations need to continuously look at how do they adjust those roles that it actually is fit for their purpose. Now, speaking a bit more specifically to the role of the system integrator, what do you see as the role of the system integrator within this process of security, and then more specifically role design?
Absolutely, very good point, Emile. And the role of system integrator is very, very crucial. In most SAP implementation, what we see is generally these SIs or system implementers are responsible for building to the specification provided by the client organization. They are not typically responsible for challenging the design or adopting to the principle of securing by design. Their role is to execute the build effectively, but securing the system to design and ensuring that it aligns with the compliance the organization need to follow. For example, like management of segregation of duties is often for them falls on the business side or a controls integrator, which is in-house. And that's why for organization, it's so valuable to have an in-house expertise from a compliance, from a controls integrator perspective, or a dedicated partner focusing on secure by design principles throughout the whole implementation journey. This approach enables the integration of controls directly into the role design, which is key to managing access and reducing risk as the system evolves. And it helps the system up not only from a functionality, but from a security and compliance perspective right from the very beginning.
Cannot agree with you more. It's actually a topic that has come up in a few previous podcasts as well, where we're trying to make the point to say, get someone that has expertise in that specific area. The system integrator might be very good with the data migration, but they don't have specific expertise on the security topic. So get a partner that you trust on that topic, but they can assist you. So the next question I'm going to just pose to Ross. So as we see now, a lot of companies either moving to S4HANA or RISE. We also see that SAP has now, just to add another little layer of complexity to the conversation, changed how the named SAP user licenses are measured. So Ross, if you can maybe just speak a bit to that, to explain to organizations what are those changes and what should they potentially consider then as an impact on the role design.
Thanks, Emile. Brilliant question, and I think very topical for a lot of organizations that are considering adopting S4HANA or at least moving to S4HANA. So the license, well, let's maybe cover a bit of the history of SAP licensing up until this point, which I think traditionally has been a fairly gray area. You'll have your annual license submission. You will classify your users. You will submit that your S-law file through to SAP, and that would typically take those results in good faith, make sure that everything sort of more or less looks in order from the number of users that you have classified under your named user licenses, whether or not that relatively matches up with what you are entitled to. And then in your license audits, there is, I think, the option of a pretty basic or standard audit, and then your in-depth audits where SAP will either come on site or conduct a more in-depth audit as to how your classifications take place, just to make sure that there is more or less an agreement between you and your SAP portfolio manager of how your users are classified. And traditionally that has mostly been on usage within the system, so users making use of certain transaction codes and what license types they carry. I think a big problem with that, or something that I've experienced a lot with in my client interactions, is the grayness of kind of what is classified as what. And I think SAP's solution to that is the new SAP license measurements that come in the form of the SAP Object Analyzer and the attached rule set that will measure the authorizations that are held by the users in the environment. And then that rule set will measure those users all the way down to authorization object and activity value level to classify whether that user has the capability at an authorization object level in the environment to perform those levels of licensing activities, whether that is a ESS or self-service functionality, whether that's just using majority of the core functions of SAP S4HANA, or whether we're working with advanced type users that are using more financial related or system configuration related applications. So that's kind of moving a big step from the old methodology into the new methodology. Is kind of just a generic guideline in the old, moving to very well-defined measurement practices, which I think is going to pose a lot of challenges for many organizations because they've been using a role design that has been around for 10, 15 years. It hasn't necessarily changed a lot in recent times, and kind of just picks up the additional requirements as that organization has moved and changed through time. And what we've seen with a lot of organizations is the first kind of projections of these new licensing requirements comes as a bit of a shock to a lot of clients, because it's now based on the access that users have. These users have, or the role design rather, has picked up this access over years, and every user in the system is almost seen as an advanced type user because somewhere within their roles they possess these advanced type activities within the authorization objects. So it is a very technical topic, and maybe something not to delve into at this point, but rather just mention that, or rather give a warning to clients who are looking at this, that it is don't leave it to the last second. Definitely allocate the necessary time and resources to go through the exercise, whether you are preparing to move to S4HANA from ECC, or whether you're looking to renew your contract, your license contract with SAP, and you're already on S4. Just keep in mind that the licensing impact can have a significant cost impact on that bill of materials. In terms of the role design itself, and Adi, earlier you were talking about the business roles and the SAP standard templates or custom role designs, where I like the analogy that you used, whether you're building a house from scratch or whether you are kind of moving in some way. One obviously costs a lot more and it's going to take up a lot more time. The other, it's a lot easier to fit into and could very much suit your requirements a lot sooner than the other. So I think there's a with this added layer of licensing comes the question of access management from a standardization point of view. So if we're using business roles that a certain subset of users fit into a particular business role, or every user has their access that is specifically tailored for that user. On the one hand, with the licensing layer, we have a standardized access that is easy to provision. However, from experience, not every user in that business role could be using 100% of the authorizations within that business role. So you may have a key user that is kind of the base of that business role, using 100% of authorizations there, classified as an advanced user. However, there are users that are more 60%, 70% fit for that business role. But as part of their daily activities, they're not necessarily requiring those advanced level activities. But unfortunately, based on the new metrics, they will be held to the advanced license classification because they have the access assigned to them. So there's a bit of a catch-22 there in that your access is easy to provision. However, licensing, you may suffer. From a cost perspective, some organizations may have the benefit of having the entitlements to play around with there. There are others that either see the potential cost saving of having a access design that is aligned to user functionality, or rather position functionality, and what that position or user requires, seeing the potential cost saving and licensing there as maybe an opportunity to use the cost saving to branch out into additional system capabilities, more users onto the system, getting the worth for their entitlement.
Thanks for that, Ross. As we said, lots of additional complexity. And speaking about complexity, that talks a bit also about the adoption of Fiori into S4HANA. So Adi, if you can maybe just tell us a bit more about how Fiori Pages and Spaces have come about and how that can help organizations to just make it a bit more of a user-friendly experience.
Thanks, Emile. So it's like, imagine stepping into a well-organized office, right? Where everything is in the right place, tailored to your specific needs or the employee specific needs. That's what Fiori Spaces and Pages create in a digital landscape of S4HANA. So Fiori Spaces serve as the centralized hub for all the applications which an employee or a user will need for easy access as per their daily responsibilities. And then Fiori Pages neatly organize these apps, ensuring seamless navigation. But why does this matter to the business? So a thoughtfully designed Fiori structure enhances the workflows and minimizes security risks. By arranging these apps according to the employee's job role, basically we are streamlining their experience and limit access to what's necessary, aligning the whole access concept with the least privileged best practice access model. Historically, we know that the SAP users have heavily relied on the transaction code concepts, which was really complex to navigate. With S4HANA and with this Fiori Spaces and Pages concept, they have shifted this experience to a more browser-based setup that's not only more intuitive, but also designed to offer a more cleaner and role-based workflow. This browser-based interface supports better user engagement and efficiency through clear app categorization and dashboarding, which aligns with the role design. From a security perspective, this setup is crucial. By aligning the Fiori Spaces and Pages with the backend system roles, we need to ensure that users only access to the applications and pages relevant to their task, reducing the likelihood of any unauthorized access. It's like having a security checkpoint at each door, and only the right people with the right key can enter in that door. Therefore, designing of roles and Fiori Spaces and Pages should be performed in alignment in conjunction, and also through collaboration between the access management teams and the IT development teams to ensure that the right applications are available without duplicating access or introducing any new vulnerabilities. Lastly, as more and more business transitions to the S4HANA, adopting a Fiori-first approach goes beyond enhancing the user experience. It's about creating scalable, secure, and intuitive system that grows with your organization. Plus, I'm sure we all will be aware that SAP recently introduced the traditional group-based layout in the Fiori Launchpad. So that is being now phased out, and only Fiori Spaces and Pages will remain like in support SAP product, and all the group-based launchpads will be out of support from the SAP S4HANA 2402 version and onwards after that. So it's really crucial to integrate the whole Fiori and Fiori Spaces and Pages concept with the role design and sort of aligning them with the backend system access model.
Thank you for that. The last question of the day I'm going to pose to Jeroen. So, Jeroen, if you can maybe just tell us what are some of the additional implications and considerations for organizations to consider when they've transitioned to RISE or S/4HANA to the cloud?
Yeah, of course. Good question, right? I mean, look, as organizations embark on their journey, I think it's really important to consider and recognize that the responsibilities evolve and change, right? In the traditional scenario, the organization has end-to-end responsibility for their systems, for their controls, all the way from hosting to the application layer security. But in the new model, with cloud migration, that dynamic really changes. So there's a number of things that are worth keeping in mind. I mean, first of all, shared responsibilities, right? So security becomes really a shared effort between sort of SAP, the cloud provider, and the organization. And together, you got to make sure that everything is covered. You got to make sure that you understand where the responsibilities lie and where you're dependent on another party, just to make sure you haven't got any gaps in your coverage. Then, from a wider security strategy point of view, moving to the cloud might need you to reevaluate some of it, right? All the way from, the platform security piece to how it's integrated across the cloud, but also maybe integration with a wider, identity and access management system. So maybe the organization already has a system that is used to help provision and improve access management across the landscape that might obviously need updating and changing to incorporate access provisioning across S/4HANA and across RISE. Lastly, as Adi just mentioned, end user security, new concept, SAP Fiori, Spaces and Pages, there's definitely a need to assess and potentially redesign the end user security roles to make sure that people have the access they need to do their jobs, but not any more than that. Then we got the business transformation piece. So potentially and quite often, these types of transformation programs change how a business process works, and therefore it should also change the access people have and how it's assigned, but also potentially controls and automation in that space. So it's really important to consider that to make sure that as you move across, you're helping users follow a standardized process that you're happy with, and you're taking away the ability for people to deviate from that process and maybe circumvent controls or maybe change data that they shouldn't be changed. The continuous monitoring piece, I mean, once the cloud is set up, it doesn't finish there. There needs to be a continuous, monitoring over the environment to ensure that if you're staying secure and that you can take action if you spot where you're not. So having processes in place to review the security on an ongoing basis is essential to sort of keep that compliance and to make sure you tackle any challenges as soon as they arise. So, that's it in my view. So just remember that, RISE with SAP really offers a pathway to becoming a more intelligent enterprise. And no matter what your starting point is, organizations like ours can provide expert guidance and support throughout the journey, right? Helping you navigate security and compliance challenges. And by keeping these considerations in mind, you can ensure a secure and compliant transformation as you ascend to the cloud with SAP.
Was actually a very great summary. So I'll not do a summary for myself of the podcast. So thank you very much for that, Jeroen. Thank you to all our guests for attending today and your insightful comments. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And as Jeroen said, speak to your trusted advisor. And if you want to discuss any of these topics with us, please reach out to us. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.